The Middle East Peace Run podcast with Pat Farmer is brought to you by HiVita, premium quality Australian-made supplements. Live the HiVita life at hivita.com.au, and Nut Roasters, the snack that can benefit your heart at nutroasters.com.au. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Middle East Peace Run podcast with Pat Farmer, episode number 1. I'm Susan Paget, and I have the great privilege of being able to join Pat Farmer to bring you these podcasts and to share what is going on in his head and on the road as he clocks in about 2 marathons a day, making his way through the Middle East in an effort to just spread peace. It should be the most incredible adventure. And this podcast is going to be a way to help us get inside the mind of an ultramarathoner, to share Pat's thoughts and experiences, to meet the crew, to hear adventures from the road, and to just share the whole adventure with you. Now, you can be a part of Pat's journey. Send him any questions, anything you want to know about what he's going through, what he's seeing. You can connect with him on Twitter at Pat Farmer Runner. Come over and like him on Facebook at Pat Farmer Ultramarathon Runner. And his main website, patfarmer.com, will have all the details of how to connect with him and the route that he's going through. Now, I first met Pat about 20 years ago on a run that he did called the Transamerica Foot Race that went from Los Angeles to New York. My husband, Dale Paget, and I covered him for the Australian press at that time. And meeting Pat really changed our life. He's one of our best friends, and he is one of the most inspirational people you will ever meet, because not only is what he does, just totally crazy, being able to run these amazing distances, but his mental attitude and outlook will really rub off on you, especially the idea of how you can change your life one step at a time. And that's exactly what he wants to do with this Run for Peace. Now, Dale and I got a call early this morning. It's about 48 hours before we depart from Sydney, Australia to Beirut, Lebanon. And we got a phone call this morning that Pat had some last-minute paperwork that I needed to submit before I can leave. So we headed out early in the morning, and we met Pat and his wife, Tanya. It was raining outside, and we just sat in the car, worked on paperwork, and thought this is a perfect time to start our podcast to see what's going on in Pat's head as he's about to leave. So have a listen. This is our first chat as we're getting ready to embark on this incredible adventure with the extraordinary Pat Farmer. But we're starting.
Everyone, you're filling out? Okay.
Yeah, I'm filling out stuff. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning. It's
a hectic few days now, heading up to the departure. How's it going? How you feeling?
Yeah, I was only saying to Tanya, I don't know how much more of this side of things I can take. Usually my stress levels are they're pretty good, but just all the mucking around that goes on before you actually start an event, especially when you're dealing with multiple countries, and most importantly, because of my status and because of the purpose of this run, getting government approval is not so easy, but incredibly important.
Well, let's start with an introduction to yourself, because a lot of people listening to this will be hearing from you for the very first time. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Pat.
Well, I spent 9.5 years as a federal member of Parliament. I had the portfolios of junior portfolio of education, science and training, and also shadow minister for sport and youth.
And this is in Australia, by the way, because we have a lot of friends listening to you in America. So Pat is basically a politician in Australia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. I was a federal politician in Australia for that period of time, and of course before that, from a very early age, from the age of 18, I took up long distance running, and I used my long distance running, ultramarathon running, it's called, to be able to raise money and raise awareness for worthwhile causes. And it was one of the reasons why I ended up in politics, because of the high profile that I got through my running career. I'm now 52 years old. I've been running for over 30 years and doing competitive races like this all over the world for that period of time.
Well, we first met you, I think it was the Trans-America Foot Race, and that was some 20 or 30 years ago. That was the run across America where you were doing at least 2 marathons a day in a race, so it wasn't just taking your own time. How is your body held up over that time? Does it get stronger for an ultra-marathon runner? Is there a peak time for you?
I think I'm blessed with good biomechanics. There's seems to be a peak for most distance runners, most marathon runners, and it seems to be around about from 35 to 45. If that was the case with me, then I would be a little bit beyond my best, but I feel that I am, at this point in time, the sum total of everything else I've ever done. So with the longer distance events, you tend to build up more stamina, and you become stronger mentally as time goes on with the events that you do, and that plays a significant role in being able to just grind out the mileage day after day after day after day, being able to focus on something in your life that is important than the moment that you're in right at that point in time.
Being able to cover that kind of distance was nowhere more important than the pole-to-pole run, which was the last major international run that you've done. Why not just hang up your shoes after that?
Yeah, you're right. That was a very significant event that I did, something that nobody else had even dreamed of doing, covering both the polar caps as well as the mainland between Canada all the way through to Argentina. But you're only as good as your last event, and there's always something more to do, and I still feel like I haven't contributed enough to this life, that there are still more things that I can raise awareness around, such as this Middle East peace run, and there's still more money to raise, such as good, worthwhile causes. And that was why just last year I ran the length of Vietnam from the northernmost point up near the Chinese border down through the southernmost point, covering the 30 or so provinces along the way, and trying to raise money for clean drinking water and clean sanitary conditions for the Red Cross in Vietnam.
How could I have forgotten about that one? That was in between.
Well,
my God, never stop.
There is just so many different events on, and one of the reasons why this event has come around right at this point in time was I was originally asked to do a run the length of India, to try and raise awareness around some of the issues there in India. But because of their elections, it was seen as a very, very difficult time for me to be in India and to be doing this. And so we decided to put it off. Myself and the organisers decided to put that off for a period of time. And hence I was also approached about doing something in Israel, but I didn't want to just do Israel alone. I wanted to include some of the other nations, and I needed to have purpose. This is not just about showcasing one country, it's about trying to unite people from various countries.
And how will running through these countries do that, do you think, Pat?
Well, I'm part of the United Nations organisation called Sport for Peace and Development, and I'm an ambassador for that as well. And anybody will tell you anywhere in the world that whenever a country gets the opportunity to compete in the Olympics, that country gets a lot of money thrown into infrastructure, vital infrastructure and buildings and playing fields and things that they wouldn't normally have. Such is the power of sport. Also, sport is a great catalyst for peace because it brings people together on the playing fields from all different countries. They are absorbed in the moment of the sport, and they leave their baggage behind as to which countries they come from, how old they are, what gender they are, what religion they are, and they just get on with the game. So for that reason, sport can succeed where most politicians have failed. So I truly believe that, and I believe also with sport there is no hidden agendas. You just get out there, try and do the best you possibly can. And all I'm asking people to do in this event is just walk or run a few miles with me spend some time with me on this journey, and together we'll show the world leaders that we're up for a peaceful outcome.
So we're like 48 hours before we head off, and it's always a family affair working with you. And Dale and I first met you 20 years ago. We spent time in different spots in America, and then Dale and I both spent different spots with you when you did your around the Australia run. And we're sitting in your car right now. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and your wife Tanya's here, and you guys are going to drive down to Canberra, do some paperwork this morning, and then you and I will fly out with your daughter Brooke, who's going to be helping a media, and then Tanya's going to come out in a little bit and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned before that this part is not the fun part, as the preparation is tough. So what, as a whole, how are you feeling mentally? You got to run about 2 marathons a day through Lebanon, Jordan, Israel. What is your mental state, physical state right now as you're about to go?
Once I get on the road and I start actually running, the running side of things is totally up to me. So I'll accept, although it will be incredibly difficult, and I'll need to deal with the climate and the conditions and whatever other things may occur along the way. That's for me to deal with and me alone. But at this point in time, I'm in the hands of so many other organisations and so many other people, and I need to rely on them to make critical decisions that will affect whether I even start or not. So for that reason, it's always hardest to take the first step, and it's like this with every single event, but most importantly, it's like this with international events. And I feel blessed that I have my family around me because they believe in me. And like my son said to me not that long ago, he said, "Dad, you're able to make things out of nothing." He said, that's the most amazing thing about you. We've been able to create an event from nothing. We've been able to already give people hope. I've been absolutely inundated with people through emails, through Facebook, through all sorts of forms of contact from various parts of the world that have said to me that it is so nice that I'm doing something like this, and they believe in the cause, they believe in what I'm doing, and they support me wholeheartedly. If nothing else occurs other than that, we've at least given people hope. And as I've said in the past, while ever men and women get together under the veil of hope, for peace, then there is hope in the world. But without hope, there is nothing.
Oh.
Yeah. Tanya, how are you viewing the departure?
Yeah, I've seen all the behind the scenes stress and workload that goes on, but I'm very excited. I'm really excited by the response Patrick's been getting and how inspired people are to follow his run.
Do you worry about him when he does these big runs?
Look, at first I was a little bit worried about him going to the Middle East, only because of the negative press that I hear. But since meeting a lot of the diplomats and a lot of people from the countries that have told me about the places that they come from, on the whole it's a very peaceful region.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty confident that Patrick and Brooke and Katie and the crew aren't going to be facing anything particularly dangerous while they're there.
Yeah.
So I feel at rest about that now.
That's great.
Yeah.
We better let you guys get on your way to Canberra.
Yeah. We'll keep on talking, Pat, and I can't wait to share this adventure with you. It's always a privilege to spend time with you, and I don't know what to make about this one. It's on, like Tanya said, it's on so many levels of being in a country, in countries you don't really know, and then watching what you go through and trying to share that. So, oh my God, here we go, man.
Here we go. Thanks, Susan.
Okay.
So that is where we left Pat, and I just got word from him that all our paperwork is signed, sealed, and delivered, so we are all locked and loaded and ready to go. Now, we don't want you to miss any of these episodes. We're going to be uploading as many as we can, so please subscribe here on iTunes. We really appreciate you listening, and we can't wait to share this incredible journey with Pat Farmer on the road in the Middle East with you. Until next time, take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. To connect with Pat, visit his website at patfarmer.com, like him on Facebook at Pat Farmer Ultra Marathon Runner, and follow him at Twitter at Pat Farmer Runner, #ME Peace Run.